Hello, welcome back to into today's video doing JMA Friday today, having a look at the weather next month with the JMA and CFS V2 model. So we've got this unsettled phase going on at the moment. We've been having big showers and thunderstorms over the past few days. There could be some more of those coming across England and Wales this afternoon. But then I think we'll get a bit of a drying trend over the weekend. The scenario still looks relatively changeable though, and we'll see how long that's set to go on for as we go into July. We're going to go up to middle of July with this update. So before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all of the pages. If you have a browser widgets and click through the links, you'll be happy to pay for the website. And thanks so much for doing that video ads to most pages. So own that content, but you watch me close back up again, just have to pay for gas worth. We'll start off with 500 millibar height anomalies from the JMA model. These are broken down into weekly periods. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow, orange, red, the brighter colours, extrapolate to high pressure. The first chart is for the week of the 17th through to 24th of June. So the coming week. And if I've got a trough of low pressure around to the south of the UK, we've got a ridge up to the northeast and out to the west as well. And the jet stream is going a bit like that. It's a messy picture, but it is relatively changeable. Maybe transitional, it might be, but it gets a little bit better as we go along through this. But it is a relatively changeable scenario coming up for the coming week. Now, week 2 is from the 24th through to the 1st of July. And again, it's placing an area of below average heights right over the top of the country. The ridge, the Azores high, is out in the central Atlantic. And we've also got a ridge up to the northeast, but not really doing much for us. The jet stream, again, is going a bit like that. So it does, again, look quite changeable there as we're going through to the final days of June, probably quite unsettled. And that sort of goes on into July as well, so not a great update for the JMA this morning. This is the 2 weekly chart from the 1st through to the 15th of July. There's a big change on what the JMA has been doing over the past few weeks, so don't necessarily be all that concerned. But again, it's placing a trough of low pressure over and to the north of the UK. The ridge, the Azores high, is still out in the central Atlantic, not really able to help us much, and the jet stream still coming through the country a bit like that. So again, it does imply quite an unsettled, quite a changeable period coming up into the opening days, into the first week or so of July. So how the temperatures stack up with this and precipitation. This is the mid-latitude and tropical view. The UK is up here in the far top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. Again, the 500 millibar heights for the first weekly period, so we've got coming up, shows trough to the south with a ridge out in the Atlantic. The temperature signal for the coming week is actually okay. It's coming out a bit warmer than average, probably due to warm nights more than anything else. But the temperature signal there does look fairly warm, but it's also quite a wet signal. Precipitation coming out significantly above average during the coming week. Week 2, which is days 10 through to 16. Again, remember, we've got the trough being placed right over top of the country there for this one. Again, the temperature signal is okay. It looks like we're going to be in for quite a warm period, really. I would expect this to be a bit cooler than that, though, because the jet stream on the scenario is indicated to be a little bit to the south of us, which just places us on the cool side of the jet. But anyway, the model is seeing a fairly warm week coming up there from the 24th of June through to the 1st of July. But again, with a trough centred over the country, precipitation is coming out above average, a wet week on the way there. And then weeks 3 and 4, days 17 to 30, again the trough being placed over the top of the country. So the temperature signal remains generally above average. It does look like quite a warm month ahead. A lot of that could be down to warm, wet nights, with days probably not all that exciting. And the precipitation again comes out wetter than average. So quite a wet month coming up, if this is right. Warm and wet, really, is the signal from the JMA this morning. How does CFS V2 see things going? Well, this is the 500 millibar height anomaly for the coming week, again 17th through to 23rd of June. And we place the trough to the south, a ridge through the central Atlantic, and the jet stream is going like that. So very close to what the JMA is doing there for the coming week. It is a relatively changeable week coming up. Week 2, which is the 24th through to the 30th, very similar to the JMA, again replacing that trough just over or just to the west-northwest of the country, the ridge, through the middle of the Atlantic. Again, the jet stream is going like that. Week 3, again, we place the trough over the UK, ridges out to the east and the northeast, ridges in the Atlantic, jet stream coming through the country. That one also looks quite unsettled. And then week 4, going from the 8th through to the 14th of July, trough of low pressure to the North Scotland, a ridge to the southwest. It's a bit closer, but it's still quite changeable, even that, bringing the jet stream through. So, fairly good agreement between the JMA and CFSV2, but we're going to have a fairly unsettled period coming up, going from June and into July. It means that the temperature anomaly, now this is a little bit more what I'd expect with such unsettled conditions, but the temperature anomaly from the CFS is coming out a bit cooler than average through the coming week. And then week 2, temperature signal generally close to average. Week 3, temperature signal from the 1st through to the 7th of July, looking cooler than average. Again, that is about what I'd expect with the pattern. Albeit we could be getting some warm nights, but probably not enough to set cool days. And then week 4, which is the 8th through to the 14th of July, that also comes out cooler than average. So there is, despite the fact the actual setup, the pressure setup is similar between this JMA and CFSV2. There is a discrepancy between the temperatures, with the JMA going generally warmer than average for the coming month, the CFS looking quite a lot cooler. And I tend to go with the CFS on that, actually, if the patterns do emerge as the models are predicting. Precipitation through the coming months, so the first week, 17th, 23rd of June, that looks wetter than average for the CFSV2. Now, this is quite interesting. This is the 24th to the 30th of June, and it looks a bit drier than average through that one, despite the fact it's still a relatively unsettled 500 millibar height on it. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Week 3, precipitation signal, that one looks wetter than average, especially for England and Wales. And then week 4, generally hinting at being a little bit wetter than average again as well. So taking it all together, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but the overall signal from the heights on both of these models is for quite an unsettled period. So that's sort of the headline, I suppose. That is going to be quite unsettling if these models are right from June and into July. We've got discrepancies with the temperature and precipitation anomalies. I tend to go more towards the cooler side of things, I would think, if the pressure stacks up as these models are predicting. And then in terms of precipitation, well, despite the week 2 anomaly from the CFS, which was dry on average, I'll go for a quite unsettled as well. So generally cool and settled, I would think, is the signal as we go into July. As ever, these models are highly experimental, and it's just a heads up of what they're showing for this morning, so don't necessarily be all that worried about it. If you've got plans for the next month, right, it's weekend forecast tomorrow. Come back for that. Later on, I'm going to have a verification for the spring forecast. We're a couple of weeks after spring now. I think it's time to verify how the forecast went, so that'll be later on today. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.